Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Today, we are bringing up a new topic to all of you this Sunday morning. It's called Krishna Consciousness, a cult or a culture, divine culture, Hindu cult or divine culture. So before we go on with our session, let's offer our prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandrodaya Mandir Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Today's topic is a very interesting one. Just going to give us a wonderful insight with regard to what is Krishna Consciousness movement. Generally, people have an understanding about Krishna Consciousness movement to be a Hindu religion or a Hindu cult. So Prabhupada clarifies in this wonderful talk which he gives about the real position or what is the roots of this Krishna Consciousness movement, where it is originated from and what actually it is. Prabhupada explains in this wonderful talk. So this will be the first part of this understanding session, and then we'll continue our discussion in the next session also. All these teachings are happening, or all these wonderful discussions are happening by the inspiration of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the worldwide Hare Krishna movement, also known as Iskcon. We offer our humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada begins his talk like this. There's a misconception that the Krishna Consciousness movement represents the Hindu religion. So Prabhupada is very clearly telling that the Krishna Consciousness movement is not connected to any religion in that way. Religion means, the definition of religion means that it has, as per the dictionary, English dictionary, religion means a faith. But the actual root meaning of the word dharma means the duty or the real occupation of the living entity as spirit soul. So we'll understand this more as we move forward in the presentation. So Prabhupada is making a very nice statement that people have a misconception that the Krishna Consciousness movement represents the Hindu religion. It is not so. Prabhupada very nicely explains. In fact, however, Krishna Consciousness is in no way a faith or religion that seeks to defeat other faiths or religions. So we are not, the Krishna Consciousness movement is not like one more religion which is meant to compete with other religions. Or we are better than others. No, that is not the understanding. Rather, it is an essential cultural movement for the entire human society and does not consider any particular sectarian faith. Prabhupada says it's an essential cultural movement for the entire human society. So basically, you have to understand that culture forms the fabric of any society. Culture means the various types of lifestyles which people are going on in their day-to-day lives. Various types of language exchanges, the various type of values. That is what is known as culture. Right? So rather, it is an essential cultural movement. Krishna consciousness is a cultural movement for the entire human society. And we are not restricting ourselves to any particular sectarian faith. That we are Hindu, we are Muslim, we are Christian, no. Or Buddhist, no. No, the reach and spread of Krishna consciousness is universal. That's what Prabhupada will say here. Entire human society can adopt this. And this was demonstrated by Prabhupada himself during his own lifetime. This cultural movement is especially meant to educate people in how they can love God. Right? So this is whatever background you are from, whatever nationality you are from, whatever education you are having, whatever status of life you have in society, doesn't matter. You have to understand that as spirit soul, as human being, you are supposed to go through proper education in your life, come to the point of loving God. Because there is God who has created this world, has created this body for us. So how do we acknowledge, how do we understand the relation with God is the subject matter of all scriptures, of all books of wisdom. So Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give this particular wonderful insight to everybody, understanding to everybody that you have to develop this love of God. We are very intimately connected with God, but right now, that connection with God is forgotten. So we have to revive that relation with God. That's what is going to actually save ourselves as spirit soul from continuing to go through the cycle of birth and death in the material world. Actually, in the material world, we are continuously going through the repetition of birth and death. Unless we come to this point of loving God and ourselves transferring to the spiritual kingdom. That is the whole understanding of all these scriptures. So Krishna conscious movement is that cultural movement which is especially meant to educate people how to love God. Prabhupada explains the origin of the word Hindu. He says, sometimes Indians, both inside and outside of India, think that we are preaching the Hindu religion, but actually we are not. This is the misconception which people generally have. That when Prabhupada was traveling extensively and was trying to present the values of Vedic understanding, people have misunderstood that, oh, we are preaching, we are propagating Hindu religion. It's like we heard in our previous topic, how there was a professor of one of the universities in America. He was trying to tell that the movement which Prabhupada has started is a cult, and it is a religion, it's having similarities of Christianity, like that he was trying to name the Hindu, rather name the movement which Prabhupada has started. So like this, people have different misconceptions about Krishna consciousness movement. So Prabhupada is trying to clarify that the word Hindu is not to be found in Bhagavad Gita at least. In fact, any other Vedic literature also you don't find this word Hindu. So where this word Hindu has come from? Prabhupada says indeed there is no such word as Hindu in the entire Vedic literature. No Vedic scriptures speak about this word Hindu. This word has been introduced by the Muslims from provinces next to India, such as Afghanistan, Balochistan, and Persia. The neighboring countries adjacent to India, where mostly the Muslims are living, they have introduced this word. That is how this word has originated. How it has originated, Prabhupada explains. He says there is a river called Sindhu, bordering the northwestern provinces of India. It is a river separating India and the other countries where Muslim population is living. And since the Muslims there could not pronounce Sindhu properly, they instead called the river Hindu. And the inhabitants of this tract of land, they called Hindus. So other side of the Sindh river were all there. So the Muslims started calling the people as Sindhu. They cannot pronounce, so they called it Hindu. That's how this word Hindu has come. Actually, Prabhupada gives some more historical references. In India, according to Vedic language, the Europeans are called Mlechas and Yavanas. Okay. Very wonderful explanation. The Vedic scriptures say that the Western population to be as Mlechas and Yavanas who are actually disconnected from Vedic culture. Further, Prabhupada says, similarly, Hindu is a name given by the Muslims. Just like in the Vedic culture, we call the Europeans and the other country people as Mlechas and Yavanas. Similarly, Muslims have given the word Hindu people who are living this side of the river Sindhu. Actually, Indian culture is having a different name. Prabhupada explains this through the reference from Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says, Indian culture is called actually Varnashrama Dharma. This is actually described in the Bhagavad Gita. India's actual culture is described in the Bhagavad Gita. What does Bhagavad Gita say? It is stated that according to the different qualities or modes of nature, there are different types of men who are generally classified into 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. The statement in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Chatur Varnyam Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Means the 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders, what you see as Varna Ashrama, they're all actually originating from Krishna only. And Lord says that He only created them, and they are created based on the different types of qualities or modes of nature. And this system of social and spiritual division is known as Varnashrama Dharma. This is what the Bhagavad Gita and all the Vedic scriptures tell us. The type of cultural system prevailing in the entire Vedic times. So this system of social and spiritual division, which means society is divided socially based on their different inclinations to work, and also because all of us as human beings are supposed to move forward in our journey of spiritual life. There is a spiritual division also. What is this? We try to understand as we move forward. So this is known as Varnashrama Dharma. So Indian culture is actually known as Varnashrama Dharma, not Hindu religion. The 4 Varnas or social orders are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. These are the 4 orders of life. And 4 social orders means society is divided into these 4 orders based on the different types of activities, qualities of work which they do. In that way, this is a learned person. The English translation of this Brahmana means intelligent people, intellectual class of people. Kshatriya means administrative class of people. Right? Vaishya means business class of people. Shudra means labor, ordinary labor over there, in big numbers. So like this, we see this division in any society, in any organization, in any situation in the material world. Right? There's intellectual class, there is an administrative class, there's a business class, and there is a labor class. And the 4 ashramas is explained as spiritual orders. Ashrama means where the spiritual progress is foremost. The 4 orders are the Brahmacharya, the Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. Right? Very nicely explanation is given here. Brahmacharya means student life, wherein the character building happens, the scriptural understanding training is going on, right? Like this, child, after it is born, it is going through its brahmacharya training, or student life training. And once, at one point of time in the life, after 25 years, it's supposed to enter into grihastha ashram, grihastha life. Grihastha means you have family, wife, children, and you're also supposed to see that you earn and support the other three orders. The brahmacharya, vanaprastha, sannyasa, other orders, they don't work, they don't have any business. They are supposed to be supported by grihastha. And vanaprastha basically means retired life. And you're giving more time on spiritual advancement, spiritual development. And sannyasa is the last stage of spiritual order, wherein you fully renounce yourself and dedicate yourself for self-realization. So these are the 4 varnas, social orders, and 4 spiritual orders, ashramas. This is what the Indian cultural way of life was set up in this way. The varnashrama system is described in the Vedic scriptures known as the Puranas. Further, there is a nice description in the different Puranas about the varnashrama system itself. So they say that the goal of the institution of Varna, a Vedic culture, is to educate every man for advancement in knowledge of God or Krishna. Very nice, system. Because the human life is meant for understanding our identity as spirit soul and move forward the journey in a very systematic manner. And the whole cultural system, everything around in society should support this whole thing. That is the way Vedic culture was organized. So the goal of everybody's life, whether he's Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa is one. Right? The goal of anybody is one. What is that? To attain love of God, love of Krishna. That is the point. Right? Very nice system. So this is what, with this understanding, the whole Varnashrama institution was set up. So let's move forward. Screen is not getting loaded. Okay. Fine. So let's continue our discussions. So here, the whole Vedic program, the entire Vedic program is meant to give this understanding of knowing that the goal of life, whether you are a Brahmana intellectual class, is supposed to teach everybody about the purpose of life, goal in life, or whether you are a administrator, as a king or a leader, you should also have the same goal of reaching God, perfecting your life in self-realization. Whatever different orders, different levels you are in, you are supposed to achieve this aspect of reaching God. That is the whole thing, right? So, with this in the background, the Vedic culture was structured. Everybody are doing their responsibilities, their duties, like in a organization or in an institution. There are different people working in different capacities for the same organization, for the goal of seeing that the organization is functioning in a proper way with that goal, right, with the goal of the organization. Similarly, the whole Vedic way of life was arranged in such a way that everybody understands that the goal of life is to understand God and reach God, reach Krishna. That is the whole point. Right? Okay. So there is a concept which is known as Daivi Varnashrama. Daivi Varnashrama is a concept wherein Prabhupada introduced this. It is a Varnashrama system only, but wherein the whole center is from the very beginning centered around Krishna, nothing else, right? So this is the whole way of arrangement in the Vedic culture, right? Life is centered around Krishna's service, right? Life centered around land, cows, Krishna. This is called Daivi Varnashrama. So we'll understand more about Daivi Varnashrama now. There was a nice instance wherein when Lord Chaitanya talked with one devotee by name Ramananda Rai, the Lord asked him, what is the basic principle of human life? Right? Ramananda Rai was again a very great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was conversation between them, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. So the Lord asked Ramananda Rai, what is the basic principle of human life? For which Ramananda Rai replied very nicely. He said, human civilization begins when Varnashrama Dharma is accepted. It is the first answer which Ramananda Rai gave. When Varnashrama is accepted by human society, that is how the whole human civilization will properly understand the purpose or what is the principle. That human life is meant for that. Without Varnashrama, the scriptures mention you're leading an animal life. What is animal life? Animal life means you don't have any goal in life. Just you have to eat, sleep, have sex life, defend yourself. That is what animal life means. That type of life is of no relevance with when you get a human form, especially. So the Vedic scriptures are very particular that when you get when you got the human form of life, you're supposed to understand the purpose of human life. That is the whole thing, right? So very nicely, Ramananda Rai, very great advanced devotee. He was actually a governor of one of the states, provinces during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. So he has given a nice understanding that the goal of human life is to basically understand that we have to follow the Varnashrama system. Before coming to the standard of Varnashrama Dharma, there is no question of human civilization, Prabhupada says. Right? Unless you come to this point of Varnashrama, you cannot understand what is the purpose of human life. Otherwise, simply you'll be going on with no goal in life. That's what the modern society is. No actual goal. People are simply going on their own way of life. Therefore, the Krishna Consciousness movement is trying to establish this right system of human civilization, which is known as Krishna Consciousness or Daiva Varnashrama, divine culture. So now Prabhupada is defining exactly. Krishna Consciousness is actually Daiva Varnashrama. In Varnashrama also, regular Varnashrama also, it's a gradual elevation. Whereas the Daiva Varnashrama, which is the advanced version of Varnashrama, Prabhupada introduced a system wherein in the very point you start following this whole system, you are already on the top level. It's called divine culture. The right way, the right system of human civilization, which is known as Krishna Consciousness or Daiva Varnashrama, divine culture. But presently in the human society, Indian society especially, there's a misuse of this Varnashrama system. So what is that misuse and what are the various anomalies we'd like to understand in the continuation of the session. So now in India, what has happened is the Varnashrama system is actually division of 4 social orders and 4 spiritual orders. This has been taken in a very perverted way. Perverted way means they're trying to term, oh, you belong to upper class, you belong to a lower class, you are backward class. Like this, people are trying to make this caste system. This caste system is going on in the name of, actually Varnashrama is not actually caste system. It is based on qualification. But right now in India, the Varnashrama system has been misused rampantly. Thus, a man born in a Brahmana family, the highest social order, claims that he should be accepted as a Brahmana. Presently, what is going on is somebody is thinking that, I am born as a Brahmana, so I should be accepted as a Brahmana. It's like telling, I am son of a doctor, so I should also be called a doctor. But the understanding in society is what? You may be son of a doctor, but you have to go to college, you have to go to proper education, you have to go to medical college and get the proper qualification before you can be called a doctor. So this particular aspect, nobody is following right now. Everybody thinks just by birthright, I belong to this particular varna. That is a wrong understanding, wrong misconception which is going on presently. Okay. So, as a man born in the family of a Brahmana claims that he should be accepted as a Brahmana. But this claim is not accepted by the Shastras. Shastras don't accept this claim. Shastras have a different understanding, proper understanding. One's forefather may have been a Brahmana according to Gotra or the family hereditary order. Just like I give the example, my grandfather may be doctor, right? So, a forefather or somebody, my family tradition, somebody may be belonging to one particular varna. But real varnashrama dharma is based on the factual quality one has attained, regardless of birth or heredity. Very nicely, Prabhupada is explaining. Real varnashrama is based on the factual quality. Just like I gave the example. Now you have to be called a doctor, you have to be qualified as a doctor. You have to go through proper training, proper, whatever required authorized way of qualifying yourself. Only then you can be called a doctor. Likewise, whatever your birth may be, based on your qualification, that is called guna, qualities. Chatur varnya maya system, guna karma vibhagach. Based on the quality and the inclination of work you have to do, you have got. Based on that, the society is divided into 4 social orders, 4 spiritual orders. So therefore, we are not preaching the present day system of the Hindus, especially those who are under the influence of Shankaracharya. So Prabhupada is bringing out one more defect in the modern Hindu society. Now, one is that the Varnashrama system is perverted, means it is all misused and it is completely, people are taking advantage that I am born as this, so I am this, even though they don't have the quality of a particular social order. Secondly, Prabhupada says, people are influenced by the philosophy of one great Acharya by name Shankaracharya. And what is going on in this philosophical understanding is that it is taught that the absolute truth or God is impersonal. So indirectly, Shankaracharya denied the existence of God. When you say that God is, he is light or he has no personal features, then you are denying actually existence of God. If I start describing about me, he has no head, he has no leg, he has no eyes, he has no that, this, which means you don't exist actually. Simply you are describing in a negative way. That's what Shankaracharya did. Right? So this was for a purpose that we have to understand. But what is the purpose? Why it happened? We try to understand now. So Shankaracharya taught the absolute truth as impersonal, and thus he indirectly denied the existence of God. Why did Shankaracharya introduce this understanding called Mayavada? And what is Mayavada? We try to understand in our next discussions. Shankaracharya's mission was very special. He appeared in order to establish the Vedic influence after the influence of Buddhism. We have to go back to the history of around 2500 years. So 2500 years ago, people used the teachings of Vedas. They again started misusing the teachings of Vedas. On the strength of Vedic understanding, they started rampantly killing animals. Animal killing violence had gone to a very high degree. Because Vedas also prescribe different types of animal sacrifices. So people took that as a pretext to kill animals and wanting to satisfy their own palate. So when this was very rampant like this, Lord personally came as Lord Buddha. Lord Krishna came as Lord Buddha to immediately stop this misuse of Vedic understanding. So as soon as he came, he told, I don't accept Vedas. Vedana Maniya, Bauddha Hoy Nastika. Don't accept the Vedas. I don't accept the Vedas. Follow what I'm telling you. And he started preaching a philosophy known as Ahimso Paramo Dharma. Non-violence is the highest religion you have to follow. Because that time, so much of violence was going on. Animal killing was going on. So Lord had to take an emergency step. Just like when there is an emergency in any situation, any place, government imposes Section 144 curfew, right? Likewise, Lord had to come and handle the emergency situation. So immediately he denied the authority of the Vedas. He himself, who was given Vedas, he told, I don't accept Vedas. You follow what I'm telling you. This was the situation. So the mission of Shankaracharya was, Shankaracharya also is not ordinary personality, he is Lord Shiva himself. He came down to introduce the Vedic literatures on the order of Lord Krishna again. So that's what this statement is telling here, this slide is telling us here, that Shankaracharya's mission was very special. He appeared to re-establish the Vedic influence after the influence of Buddhism. So I gave you the background, how the Buddhism was introduced and how later on Lord sent Shankaracharya, Lord Shiva, to take up this task of re-establishing the Vedic influence, Vedic understanding in society. And we know that Buddhism was patronized by Emperor Ashoka 2600 years ago. So practically the entire India had been converted to Buddhism, because whatever the emperor or the king orders, everybody will follow. That's what it was. So practically the whole of India, where the Vedic culture was for many, many years being followed, it was all forgotten. So according to Vedic literature, Buddha was an incarnation of Krishna who had a special power and who appeared for a special purpose, which I explained to you. So Buddha is Krishna's incarnation, and his special power was to convince everybody that you just follow what I am telling you about non-violence. And a special purpose was there for which he came. That is to stop animal killing rampantly, what is going on. So his system of thought or faith was accepted widely, but Buddha rejected the authority of the Vedas. Right? While Buddhism was spreading, the Vedic culture was stopped both in India and other places. So Buddhism had its own influence. It was a purpose for which Lord Buddha came. And it was spreading because the king, Emperor Ashoka himself, was patronizing that the spreading of this whole Buddhism. Therefore, since Shankaracharya's only aim was to drive away Buddha's system of philosophy, he introduced a system called Mayavada. Actually, strictly speaking, both Buddhism and Mayavada's understanding is almost same, but little, Mayavada introduced by Shankaracharya is taking Vedic evidence. Right? Buddhism says finally everything is Shunya. It is zero. right? This body, everything will, once it is, once this, so once you die, everything is dismantled and everything mixes with nature. Right? There is no concept of God at all in the Buddhism. Similarly, in Mayavada also, finally they say God is impersonal. Right? He has no aspect, he has no features, personal features like we have. That Mayavada is telling. So we'll understand more details on this as we move forward in our discussions. So Shankaracharya's only aim was what? To drive away Buddha's system of philosophy and introduce a system called Mayavada. So what is Mayavada philosophy? Let us try to understand, because before we move forward. Mayavada philosophy basically means, it is, strictly speaking, it is one type of atheism, wherein you can imagine that there is God. See, in atheism, there are different types of varieties of atheism. Mayavada is one type of atheism wherein you're allowed to imagine there is God. Finally, they say there is no God. But the conclusion is that there is no God, but right now you can imagine one type of a God if you want. That is what Mayavada means. And even if God comes as a person, he is also like us. This is Mayavada. It is one type of atheism, wherein denying the existence of God is the ultimate issue. Prabhupada says, the Mayavada system of philosophy has been existing since time immemorial. So this type of understanding that finally God is impersonal, there is no existence of personal God, like this has been, since ages, since many, many years. Further, Prabhupada explains, the present Indian system of philosophy or culture is based on the Mayavada philosophy of Shankaracharya, which is a compromise with Buddhist philosophy. Presently, whatever system of religion or culture all of us are following is all based on the Mayavada philosophy of Shankaracharya, which says ultimately God is impersonal, God is light, God is simply effulgence, like this. It is one more version of Buddhist philosophy. According to Mayavada philosophy, there actually is no God, or if God exists, he is impersonal and all-pervading and can therefore be imagined in any form. You see, this is what Mayavada is telling. But there is no God, and if God does exist, he is not having any personality like us. Because for them, personality means it is Maya. It is illusion. So, but they don't know there is a real personality, real existence. These things the Mayavadis don't understand. So they say if God exists, he is impersonal and all-pervading, because once you become all-pervading, there is no personality. And therefore, you can imagine God in any form. That is the philosophy they are propagating. This conclusion is not in accord with the Buddhist literature. So Mayavada philosophy basically is telling that there is actually no God, and if God exists, he is in impersonal form, right? And this impersonal form or impersonal feature is such that energy is all pervading. So any form you can imagine. That's what the Mayavadis speak. But Vedic literatures never explain God in that way. What does Vedas say? Vedic literatures names many demigods who are worshipped for different purposes. But in every case, the Supreme Lord, the personality of God, Vishnu, is accepted as the supreme controller. That is real Vedic culture. Just see. The Vedic culture is teaching that there are different devatas or demigods who are all worshipped for different purposes. Just like Indra is worshipped for rains, Agni is for fire, Varuna for water. Like this, there are different devatas who are giving different benedictions. But in every case, the Supreme Personality of God, that is Lord Krishna or Vishnu, is the Supreme Controller. This is the actual understanding of the Vedic literatures. The philosophy of Krishna consciousness does not deny the existence of God and the demigods. Right? The Krishna conscious philosophy, which is actually based on Vedic culture, doesn't deny the existence of either God or the demigods. All of them do exist. It's what the Vedic literatures tell us. In fact, which is the Krishna consciousness movement teaches us this wonderful thing. It doesn't deny the existence of God nor the demigods. Further, Prabhupada says, but Mayavada philosophy, it denies both. They deny the existence of God, they deny the existence of demigod also. Right? It maintains that neither the demigods nor God exist. Both of them are only your imagination, they say. Illusion. For the Mayavadis, ultimately, everything is zero. That's what Mayavadis try to understand about God. Right? Everything is zero for them. They say that one may imagine any authority, whether Vishnu, Durga, Lord Shiva, or the sun god, because these are the demigods generally worshipped in society. So according to them, the Mayavadis, you can imagine any form, whatever form you want. And generally people are very accustomed to worshipping these personalities like Vishnu, Durga, Shiva, sun god, even Ganesha. So these are the demigods. People think that, oh, you can worship them also. And finally, God is impersonal. That's what Mayavadis say. But the Mayavada philosophy does not, in fact, accept the existence of any of them. They say, we're all Maya. This body is a Maya. Yes, it's fact. Body is a Maya. But the Supreme Lord's body is not Maya. It is Satya. It is truth. Maya means illusion. Right? The Mayavadis say that because one cannot concentrate one's mind on the impersonal Brahman, one may imagine any of these forms. This is their understanding. So Mayavada means there is no God, or if God exists, he is finally impersonal. And you can imagine any form, whatever you want, because finally, absolute truth or God means impersonal Brahman. Because impersonal Brahman is all pervading and it's all light, you cannot concentrate. So you can imagine any of the forms you feel to reach that impersonal Brahman. That's what Mayavadis preach. Mayavadi philosophy is all about this. So they have introduced a new system called Panchopasana. As I was telling you, worship of Durga, worship of Surya Devata, sun god, or worship of Ganesha, worship of Lord Shiva, and worship of Vishnu. Or you can worship any of the forms and finally when you become perfect, you'll be realizing that you are Nirakar, impersonal. But the existence of Durga, sun god, Ganesha, Shiva, Vishnu are all fact. They say they're only imaginary forms. That's what Mayavadis say. What the Prabhupada says, this was introduced by Shankaracharya, but the Bhagavad Gita does not teach any such doctrines. And therefore, they are not authoritative. So basically, Mayavada is called as Asat Shastra. Asat Shastra means the Shastra which is not actually authoritative or authentic. It's all imagined. Everything, whatever Mayavadis have done is just imagination. And why this imagination happened, we have understood that the whole purpose of Shankaracharya was to introduce the Vedic authority. Because when Buddha appeared, he rejected Vedas. And Shankaracharya wanted to introduce Vedic Vedas in society again. So through Vedas, again he was preaching Buddhism only in a different way. Buddhism says everything is shunya finally, zero. Mayavadi says everything is impersonal. It's either way it is same actually in one sense. But The authoritative scriptures like Bhagavad Gita does not teach any such doctrines. So what does Bhagavad Gita say? You try to understand. What does Bhagavad Gita say about Devatas? What does Bhagavad Gita say about Lord Krishna? We'll say to understand from the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita has various quotes, and Bhagavad Gita explains about the existence of Devatas. Prabhupada quotes many verses from Bhagavad Gita. The demigods are described in the Vedas, and one cannot deny their existence. But they are not to be understood or worshipped according to the way of Shankaracharya. This is the important point Prabhupada makes, that yes, the mention of Devatas are very much there in the Vedas, and you cannot say that they are not existing. Just like you are existing, I am existing, everybody is existing, like that Devatas also exist. We cannot deny their existence, but they should not be worshipped or understood the way Shankaracharya or Mayavada philosophy is propagating, because they only say they're all imagined forms. They don't have existence. They're only in your mind. That's what they say. But no, they have factual existence. Further, Prabhupada explains, the worship of Devatas is rejected in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, in fact, he condemns the worship of Devatas. Doesn't say that you have to worship Devatas. But whereas Mayavadi say you can worship any Devata, whatever you imagine in your mind. Bhagavad Gita very clearly says in 7th chapter, Kamais stester hritagyanah prapadyante anya devataha tam niyamamasthaya prakritya niyatasvaya. Krishna says very nicely that those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. You see, I would be clearly mentioning that a person whose intelligence has been stolen away by various material desires, they surrender to demigods. Means when you have a lot of desires to be fulfilled in the material world. Kama. Kama means desire to enjoy sense gratification. That is called Kama. And for them, the Devata worship is recommended. Right? So those who are not intelligent, who are just thinking that this material world is everything, I have to enjoy here, I want this, I want that, for them Devata worship is. Whereas for intelligent people, they understand what is the use of these material so-called things. We have to finally come out of this material world and go back to spiritual world. That is the understanding. Further, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is also mentioned by Krishna in 2nd chapter, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya aparata chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhavana vidhiyate. Krishna says, in the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to Supreme Lord does not take place. You see, so very clearly telling, if your mind is filled with only material desires for sense enjoyment and having more and more wealth, property, like that, then you are bewildered by such things. For you, the determination to worship Krishna will not come. Further, Prabhupada explains, those who are pursuing the various demigods have been described as Hritagyana, which means those who have lost their sense, right? Less intelligent. Further, Prabhupada explains, in the one more Bhagavad Gita's verse, when Krishna says, Antavattu phalam tesham tad bhavati alpa medasam devan deva ejo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. What does it mean? Men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. See, very nicely Krishna is saying, Antavattu phalam tesham. Tad bhavati alpa medas. Alpa meda means those whose brain substance is less, intelligence is less. They worship devatas. And the type of benefits, results they get is limited and temporary. So Krishna says, those who worship devatas go to planets of devatas, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet, Krishna says. Further, Prabhupada explains, the rewards given by the demigods are temporary because any material facility must act in connection with the temporary body. Very important consideration should have. Anything which is connected with the body, this material world, is all going to finish one day. You have to finish or that has to finish. Either way. Whereas anything connected with the spirit soul, connected with Krishna, is permanent. So the whole Vedic culture was aimed at the permanency of things. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, like this. So temporary benefits of some material facilities was not the consideration of intelligent people. It's like, if you say, today I'll give you a new house, tomorrow I have to vacate. Then I'll say, why? What is the use? I don't want the house again. That way. Further, Prabhupada explains, whatever material facilities one gets, whether by modern scientific methods or by deriving benedictions from devatas, will be finished with the body. This is the fact, truth. Right? You may say advancement through material science. We have a lot of technology advancement now. We are making smart cities, all these things. But whatever you do, you are not going to last long. No, you are going to die one day. So further, Prabhupada explains, but spiritual advancement will never be finished. This we have to always understand. So we'll continue our discussions further in our next session. So this is basically giving us an understanding. Today's session was based on an important topic known as whether Krishna consciousness is a Hindu religion or a divine culture. That was the topic. And we began explaining how Prabhupada explains that Krishna consciousness is neither a religion nor a cult. It is a cultural movement essential for the entire human society. And the Vedic way of cultural movement, the way in the Vedic culture, Vedic times was there, it's known as Varnashrama Dharma. Right? What is Varnashrama Dharma? We understood. And related with that, we also understood how in the present Indian society, there are two anomalies. There are two big mistakes going on. One is the misuse of the Varnashrama itself. Varnashrama is in a perverted way being used as just because I'm born in a particular caste, a particular social order, I think, or rather, I'm claiming that I belong to this social order, as a Brahmana, Kshatriya. That is the wrong thing is going on. And secondly, Prabhupada also pointed out how the present Indian society is having this Mayavada philosophy so much prevalent, right? Whereas Bhagavad Gita never has this understanding given. It is all the Mayavada way of thinking, which everywhere people are going on in this understanding. So we'll understand more in our next sessions. So for today, we'll close now. Anybody is going to ask, discuss, and take a few questions, or you can write in the comment section in the online YouTube we are having, or Facebook we are having. We can answer them appropriately. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.